Ladies and gentlemen, the news of Chicago head coach Sam Harris's dismissal came after our guest interviews were taped. However, our yet-to-be-verified intel points to the team not living up to its potential, possible philosophy differences, re-lineups, and some coach/player communication issues. Again, this is all speculative. Next on MLR Weekly, history-making NOLA Gold GM Ryan Fitzgerald, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning with Major League Rugby headlines and updates, Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News with opinion and predictions, picks of the week courtesy of the Rugby Odds, the Rugby Network Play of the Week, and the best dang recap in all of sports.
Rugby Wrap-Ups MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
Welcome back to MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Thank you for joining us again. We think you'll be pleased with the show because we have history-making general manager of the NOLA Gold, Ryan Fitzgerald. We have Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News. We have John Fitzpatrick with his recurring segment, Rugby Morning's Coffee Break. But before we get to any of that, we have the best damn recap in sports. Let's get to it. In the District of Columbia, Old Glory came within 12 minutes and 2 points of sweeping reigning champion New England. But the Free Jacks chipped away at DC's 10-point lead and held on for dear life in a squeaky bum thriller. Indeed, it was a gut-wrencher for Old Glory fans as their boys went toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champs. But that damn Patros guy and a knock-on by DC at death ended it. However, Old Glory again served notice that they are for real. Final score, 31-30 New England. Down in Space City, the Houston SaberCats and RFCLA battled in the heat. Discipline again hampered the Los Angelites as they were pinged for, get this, 2 penalty tries, 3 yellow cards, and a red card. That's a full house in Texas Hold'em, and Houston's ferocious felines indeed held them, as the league's best team won convincingly again, 29-12 Houston. In San Diego, USA Rugby legend Mikey Teo showed the young guns from the Anthem striving to play for Team USA some world-class skills in the first 2 minutes as the Legion drew first blood. That's right, Blood Legion. Teo would get his own try in the 31st minute as San Diego did just enough versus the gritty Charlottonians. Final score, 34-24. In Miami, it was history in the making and more heartache for the visitors and hosts, respectively. Too confusing? How about NOLA battling just to keep the Sharks from swimming away with a winnable road game when Malcolm May bowled his way in for a score? That, the cool as a cucumber kick from fly half Dorian Jones in the 72nd minute, and a critical penalty taken by Miami in the final seconds secured a first ever playoff bid for the Gold and sent today's guest, NOLA GM Ryan Fitzgerald, running gleefully to the manicurist after chewing his fingernails off. Final score, 2013 NOLA. In Dallas, the Jackals and Hounds engaged in the Dog-Eat-Dog Bowl. Dallas sported their America's team uniforms, and Noah Brown played out of his for Chicago. But the D-Jacks trademark took a tip kick the other way for a howling good try by Tuifua. Dallas took advantage of some confused Hounds defense and sealed the win and Chicago coach Sam Harris's fate by forcing a turnover at death. Final score, 22-20 Jackals. In the Pacific Northwest, the Utah Warriors and Seattle Seawolves renewed their Western Conference rivalry, and Mac Mason missed a conversion for the hosts. But wait! He made 7 others. Yes, 7. And likely would have made 9 if Stickling and Rousseau hadn't scored under the posts. Jade Stickling had 4 tries in all as the Seawolves looked absolutely invincible. Final score, 68-29, Seattle. Okay, we can use a break, and we're going to take a coffee break and get our batteries charged with our recurring segment, Rugby Mornings Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick, calling in from the District of Columbians, easy for me to say, Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, this nation's capital, that is. John, welcome back to MLR Weekly. What do you got for us?
Matt, we have such a big show this week that I got a brand new microphone. Take a look at that thing. Mine's bigger than yours.
Well, you're all grown up and immature at the same time. Next.
Hey, Matt, let's talk about some MLR playoff spots. 4 teams have clinched a postseason berth. Let's start in the East. The New England Free Jacks, by virtue of their slobber knocker of a win over Old Glory DC 31-30 New England, they secured their berth in the postseason. And how about your boy Fitzy down in Nolans, NOLA Gold, first time in franchise history, playoff berth. Matt, what do you think of that?
Yeah, you're referencing Ryan Fitzgerald, the general manager of the NOLA Gold, who's waiting in the wings to come in. He's in the green room right now. But yeah, crazy. But you can't not get excited for Tim Falcon, the owner, Ryan Fitzgerald, the general manager, and the NOLA Gold organization. They've been at it since day one. They didn't have the deep pockets that some of the other franchises had. They've grown it. They've worked with the community, and now they're in the playoffs. Very exciting for them. Next.
Hey, let's go out west where Seattle, massive win over Utah. How about wing Jade Stigley scored 4 tries, Matt. So now Seattle, of course, they've just secured their postseason berth. And because of the loss, San Diego Legion, they have now clinched a spot in the postseason. Seattle had some injuries, but man, they dropped 68 on Utah.
Yeah, and Stiegling is a force. He is like instant try. You know, if they can keep him healthy, keep him on the pitch, that just opens up the rest of the offensive weapons for Seattle. I know they're missing a key couple of players, but they're getting healthier. Lepetti was absolutely an animal all over the pitch. So Seattle getting healthy at the right time and ahead of a big match against the SaberCats. Next.
Hey, how about some personnel moves that we got to bring up with the regular season winding down, only 3 games left? Speaking of NOLA Gold, how about Tom Florence? He's coming back. You may recall that he signed a contract with the Chiefs in Super Rugby in the offseason, but he's coming back for NOLA. That'll be a nice little boost for them. But Matt, the bigger news may be, how about Director of Rugby Heineke Meyer set to depart Houston at the end of the season? He wants to go back to South Africa and do some coaching down there. What do you think of all that?
Well, you know, that's where he's from, so he's been away from home for a long time. He came here. He helped build the Houston franchise up. They were in ruins, so to speak, in a great stadium, but the team on the field wasn't that great, and it's no coincidence that they're now a powerhouse. So maybe he feels like his job done and he wants to go home. Thank him for coming over. I mean, it was a big move, and he was going into a crappy situation, and he fixed it. Credit to the owners as well. Next.
Matt, do you have any upcoming plans for this Father's Day weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to watch a heck of a lot of rugby because the MLR, if I'm not mistaken, has games Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
You nailed it, Matt. Monday night game, that's a rescheduled game. That's Chicago Hounds versus San Diego Legion. Monday Night Rugby be interesting, but how about 4 nationally televised matches over the weekend, all airing on Fox Sports, Matt? I'm sure you're going to check in on your illegitimate kids, but maybe they can sit down and watch some TV with their daddy.
Maybe. We'd have to be introduced first. Next.
That's all I got. Right. You have to close out on that.
Yeah, let's take a break and come back with Ryan Fitzgerald, the history-making general manager of the NOLA Gold, after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. And we are are back with the history-making general manager of the NOLA Gold, Mr. Ryan Fitzgerald. Ryan, that smile is organic and real, and we know why, but maybe you should tell everybody at home why.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me on, man. Yeah, it's exciting times, obviously. As you know, the history, obviously, going into seventh season here, first one to kind of get over the hump and get into the playoffs. Been close many years, obviously, 19 and 21. Both missed it by a point. 20, I thought we had one of our best teams ever roster-wise, and obviously the world shut down with COVID. So had some tough stretches there, and always had some good seasons, and just coming up just short here and there, point or two. And it was great to see that final play of that ball go into touch on Sunday and get over the hump. It was outstanding. Just excited for every single guy in this roster, guys that even played on this roster beforehand, our entire staff that we have here, coaching staff, medical staff, the front office, all the way down to every single fan. It took the whole city to get over the hump. So I appreciate everybody the passion that everybody has for it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of fans at home would realize that you guys hadn't qualified for the playoffs because you've been a competitive team, a good team for a long time. A couple of bumps here and there, but, every franchise has that. What would you say to yourself if you right now could sit in a room with the guy from 7 seasons ago? What would you say to him? What advice would you give him?
I think obviously the first couple of years too, you're trying to do everything you can all the time. As we first start out, we're all, playing at a high school field. Maybe we're understaffed as much. You're building it as the years go on. And then obviously just, sticking with it and trusting the process, everything that you do. Obviously it's easier said than done with that. But looking back too, I think, this year more than any other year, it's been outstanding as far as the help we have, the clarity we have, coaching staff, most amount of coaches we've had, most amount of trainers we've had. Nick Calling coming over for us has been, our rugby operations and our strategic analytics, all those coming into place. Our most depth we've had as far as roster wise. And you see, we're losing 44 guys over just over 13 games. So every single year, don't know if I would exactly, off the top of my head, don't know if I exactly have something for the general manager back in 18, 7 years ago. However, you're also trying to do so much for the organization from the get-go. And it's good to also be able to delegate. It's also good to be able to, where you can, because you need everybody. And that's what it takes. It takes the whole entire organization to win this thing.
Yeah. And you know what? You've been a team that's been involved in the community since your inception. You're a great American success story in the fact that, it's not like this corporation with billions of bucks that's backing the team. Yeah. It's, Tim and a lot of hard work. And now you got some new investors coming in and you got a new partnership structure. How exciting is that for you?
Really exciting. Yeah, that's 100%. Like I said, it's always funny, recruiting the first couple of years. It's like, hey, if you're looking for red carpet to roll out, we're out of red carpet. We don't got it. But if you want to come here and, kind of have the passion and build it kind of brick by brick, that was kind of our calling card there. And I think that a lot of people respected it, a lot of players top to bottom. And now we're getting rewarded with that. Started off the high school. I've been at the gold mine now for 4 years. And, like you said, more ownership and more partners coming on, more investors coming on board, which means, better, even more things, more in our youth program, more in the community, more of our academy system, have more funds to do that, to go on road games, to bring 2 teams, go and play a curtain raiser, bringing a team maybe up to New England and New England bringing a team down here, et cetera. So that all just growing the game and growing the fan base, and it makes it a lot easier to recruit to, makes it a lot easier to have some of those things lined up in place for the day-to-day operations.
And Ryan, right now I want to ask you a general managery question, but it's going to be the Sheehy Auto Stores pop quiz of the day.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
Love Sheehy Auto.
All right, here we go. Here's your Sheehy Auto Stores pop quiz of the day question. How many players across the league have started all 13 matches? Is it under 30, under 20, or under 10?
I'll go under 20. Maybe there's 11, 12, maybe one per team.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not going to get the Sheehy Auto Stores vehicle of the day as per the pop quiz. It is under 10 as far as our crack staff can discern.
Technically, it's also under 20. Yeah.
But I gave you the 3 You're going to argue. The judges will throw you right out of here. I'll cancel you in a second. All right? You'll be canceled to your pal. And how many would you venture to guess the NOLA Gold have out of that under 10 number?
1.
That's an incorrect answer as well. Now you owe us a car. That's how this pop quiz works.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe, honestly, my first initial thought is maybe there's one per team.
Well, right now I'm counting, and my stats can always be wrong, but I got the Limone, Waitakea, Malcolm X. Does that sound correct to you, sir?
That sounds right.
Oh, well, judges just told me that you indeed now do win the Sheehy Auto Stores pop quiz.
Like I said, I guess that is. That's such a unbelievably hard thing to do. As far as not only starting, but because also sometimes you are healthy, but then you might not just start because maybe they're just giving you, just giving you 20 minutes or 30 minutes off the bench to balance it, So very, very difficult thing to do. And, I always said, one of the best abilities is availability, 100%, especially when you look at guys like, obviously, what we have with Testimony Tungalia now up in the high 80s, approaching 90 caps and stuff, for the last 7 years is awesome, which is very good. Tip of the cap to him being our captain this year. And he was one of the first signings of all time in NOLA Gold history back 7 years ago. He came here as a wing center. Now he's a capped eagle as a back rower with 88 caps or so, so really proud of him.
Amazing. What's the expectation? Is making the playoffs good enough?
No, not at all. Once you get
That's the dumbest question ever asked.
Yeah. Once you get a taste of it, it is. And how our fan base as well is excited. They're fired up. They want more. It's of course we all do. So we're not done yet. We plan on going down. Go in there punching, and we're excited for the playoff game. But before that, first things first is take care of business. These last three, we still got a shot to be the number one overall seed. We're going to go after it. I think that's kind of been the mantra this whole year. Staying above the line has been our quote and our motto. And also at the same time is kind of this. It's nice that these three games, like I said, they do matter. Not only the continuity, but the seeding and everything. We're not thinking about July 20th. It's awesome that we're in. Congratulations. Everybody's excited. We're fired up for it. Entire organizational, milestone. But at the same time, it's on LA this week. We can take care of business and against LA. We got a New England at home, who is a very good team that we could see in the playoffs. So we want to approach that as the last regular season home game of the year. And then a really tough team that's playing well in all glory. So, see how we'll keep firing, man, and see if the chips fall. Yeah.
But you control a good portion of your own destiny at this point too, with three games remaining, and so you're kind of playing with house money because you've already qualified. But you're going into LA, and now our partners at the Rugby Odds have you favored going into LA as the road favorite. So that says something about your team too.
Yeah, I've really been impressed with our guys having a little bit of that road dog this year. It's been tough. There's been a couple times not only have we won on the road, some of those teams we're losing at halftime. Or Chicago right there this weekend we were down 10-3 at half. So to stay in that fight and believe has been awesome because that's a massive thing. To be able to not only win it on the road, but when you're losing at halftime, to stay in the fight and make some real impactful subs. Crowd's going crazy. Miami had a great atmosphere, pounding on the bleachers. It was loud. It was hot. It was exciting to stay in that fight. They're an aggressive, tough team. They're fighting for their lives for a playoff shot too. So for our guys to hang in there and bang with them and get over the line was massive. And especially to do it on the road. So that's a really feather in the cap going into the playoffs. Whether you're home or away, whether you're down at halftime or up at halftime, that these guys believe.
Well, I've noticed your excitement, your organic excitement on the pitch, especially when you're under the posts and a team scores. I'm thinking you're going to tear a hammy or something.
I know. That one a couple weeks back when Jared Adams had that rumbling summer run, I thought I was going to tackle him in the try zone, but then I didn't want to get with the new rules, I didn't want to get an unsportsmanlike conduct call or something. They take the ball, score off the board. I would have been, that would have been really bad. So. Yeah, just lost. Sometimes you want to be on the sidelines because you don't want to disrupt the players. I don't want to be in the box because I don't want to disrupt the coaches. So I just try to put about 1,000 meters on, pacing in the sideline or in the back of the try zone.
It's right up there with Chris Dunleavy hopping the fence in charge of the field too. I'm like, we got to get you guys in a contest. These co-owners DC, but it's all great. It's all organic, and that's what's great about this league. It's all good. We're growing, and it's just getting better by the day, and you're a big part of it. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come on MLR Weekly.
Thank you, man. You're a massive part of it as well, man. Couldn't do it without you. I really appreciate it, man.
All right, Mr. Ryan Fitzgerald, the history-making general manager of the NOLA Gold. We'll be right back after this.
And now for the Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
In the nation's capital, Paula Balacana flew into the tri-zone, literally passing up on the automatic 7 points under the post, but getting New England back within 3 points. Deep in the heart of Texas, Dallas jackaled the hearts of Chicago Hounds fans by stripping the ball from Adrian Carlsa in the 81st minute. That sealed their 2-point win and put the final nail in Chicago head coach Sam Harris's coaching coffin. In Miami, it wasn't the most exciting play of the match by any stretch of the imagination, but in the 79th minute, NOLA found gold and their first ever playoff berth via a Sharks penalty off the Miami lineout, securing NOLA's 20-13 win. And the Rugby Network Play of the Week is NOLA, earning the penalty in the final seconds, propelling them to their first ever trip to the postseason in their 7 years in the league. Now for your Major League Rugby picks of the week, courtesy of the Rugby Odds via WWE wrestling god turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield and King Gifte Belu, the inventor of words, through his proxy, yours truly.
I'm betting on Houston. I think Houston wins this game. I think Houston's probably a little better, but this is a coin flip between the two teams. I think the home field advantage in the Heat is going to benefit Houston.
And as King Gift Belu's proxy, I've been instructed to say that Gift is backing Chicago at home, getting 4 points from San Diego to excise the ghosts of Sam Harris. Hey, be sure to check out the critically acclaimed The Rugby Odds. It's a sports entertainment show that also has insightful opinions and exclusive highlights. Plus, you needn't know anything about anything to enjoy it.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? Fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. And we are back. And once again, we have the pleasure of welcoming in Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, calling all the way in from Nova Scotia, Halifax. Bryan, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
A hearty hello. By the way, I'm actually still in Germantown, not in Halifax, but I'll get there.
So you're in Germantown, but you're bundled up in Free Jacks gear. How come you didn't get your ass kicked?
Well, I just have to say that the Free Jacks are again proving their worth as the best team in the Eastern Conference and moving towards a repeat championship. I'm certain of that.
That doesn't explain how you didn't get your ass kicked by the DC fans.
They're very nice here.
Yeah. Too nice. Too nice. What a game. Oh, what a gut-wrenching loss for Old Glory. But other than an absolute miracle, can Miami knock off either NOLA or Chicago out of a playoff spot? Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I would say the playoff race, as far as the teams getting in, is now done in both conferences. I don't see any of the teams out of the picture at this point covering those spread. I mean, it'll take really impressive performances for any of those teams, especially Miami, to get in now. I just don't see it happening.
Mathematically, yeah, but 3 games and have all 5 points and have NOLA and have Chicago and DC not get any points in any of their and lose all 3.
It's just not going to happen for me. So I think we've got our 4 teams in the 2 conferences, and now it's just a matter of deciding a couple seeds heading in. And probably no great surprises looking at who's in, but a hearty congrats to NOLA, I think. For finally getting into the postseason after, kind of years of almost not quite getting there. So congrats to you.
Sometimes they missed by a point, as Ryan Fitzgerald said previously in the show. So
exactly, very patient Gold fan. So congrats to you guys.
Yeah, congrats. But you're writing off the Utah Warriors? How dare you?
Did you see that game?
All right. It was Seattle. You're tired. You just have a bad game once in a while.
No. That wasn't tired. Their back line is absolutely decimated with injuries. They just don't have the bodies, even if they were fresh and firing and really, ready to make that, kind of push. But they're just not. You can see they're wiped. They're exhausted. Sorry, Utah fans, but you're not getting there this year.
Wow. You heard it from Bryan Ray. All right. What was something that caught your eye this weekend?
Well, I mean, we kind of mentioned that New England DC game. To me, this was the game of the weekend that really felt like a playoff game. It had the atmosphere. You really had to feel bad for Utah.
Frick does Jason Patros keep scoring tries?
You'd think teams would figure out that he's a slippery fella.
All right, we've got some spreads courtesy of our friends at the Rugby Odds, and it's Dallas -3 hosting DC.
Really tough one to call. I thought DC played well against New England, but Dallas is just going to take so much energy from that win against Chicago. I think they maybe got the bit between their teeth right now, and I'll go with the Jackals at home in a real squeaker. I think this one's a bit of a coin toss.
Houston hosting Seattle. Houston -3. What a match this should be.
Close one to call. I just think that Houston's pack is so tough. I think they're going to grind it down a bit and slow it down to kind of their tempo, and they're not going to let Seattle's backs run rampant. So I'm going to go with Houston at home in this one to cover that spread.
New England at home in Quincy, -9 versus Utah. And as you said, Utah is pretty banged up.
Yeah, sorry, Utah, but this is going to be another long day. Maybe not as long as it was in Seattle, but I think New England wins this one pretty handily.
The Anthem hosting Miami. Miami, a tough team to figure up and down, and Anthem just continuing to play tougher and tougher. But Miami, -13. That seems like a big number.
Why not? Let's do it. I'm going to say Anthem probably loses this one, but a close one, and beats the spread anyways.
LA hosting NOLA. NOLA, the road favorites by 7 points. LA, they still have that puncher's chance. Yeah.
They're already scraping for bodies. I just don't think they have the juice left in them this season. NOLA's playoff bound now. They're going to want to ride this momentum into the postseason. So we'll take NOLA on the road.
Chicago hosting San Diego. San Diego road favorites by 4 points. No easy wins for San Diego.
All right, I'll go with San Diego on the road just because of that, just because some of those guys will have had the week off, and I assume that they'll make the trip to Chicago. So I'll go with San Diego in a squeaker.
Wow. Okay. Final thoughts, Bryan.
Now it's who's going to play in the first round and who's going to have the home field advantage in those playoffs. So, and remember, we've got a break. So some of those guys who maybe aren't quite healthy right now will get a little bit of rest before the postseason. So some really interesting matchups are still to come, and looking forward to it.
And I got to say, year 7, the product on the pitch has me on the edge of my seat much of the time. Great stuff. We're good. And everybody that says that it's not going forward, it is going forward. So in your face. On that note, Bryan, we're out of time. I want to thank Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, Mr. John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, the history-making GM of the NOLA Gold, Ryan Fitzgerald, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the critically acclaimed The Rugby Odds. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Please tell your friends about us and sign up for our weekly newsletter. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.